What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
Yes, some excitement. Today we are diving into Season 2, Episode 2, Handmaid's Tale. If you are just tuning in for the first time, welcome. We are a show about shows. We love entertainment. We love chatting about it. We never pretend to be experts, but we actually get quite a bit of things right when we do predictions and growth and stuff like that. If you're just tuning in, though, for the first time, I just want to say we're going back in time and going back through Handmaid's Tale. A little over a month ago, we did an experiment where I jumped into Season 6 blind with like a 20-minute preview. Liam had seen everything, and we did like, what can I figure out? What's going on? What do you think's happening? You guys really loved it, and so much that you've been joining us going back through the series. So thank you if you're here because of that. Welcome back. We love you guys, having you guys here and joining us in the comments. Word just became hard. If you're brand new here, also welcome. The best way to let us know your video is hitting that like button. If you really love this content and you want to join us on this journey, the subscribe button is how you do that. And the best way to engage with us is, as I mentioned, in the comments below. So without further ado, we'll meet you in the comments, but we're going to chat about this episode.
Emily's back and she's looking for trouble.
Gilmore Girls. That's all I can ever think of when I see her, because obviously that was an iconic show of my growing up years.
I don't think I've ever seen an episode.
It's not something that you would probably want to go back and watch every episode of, but, you know, it was on TV. We didn't have Netflix when, you know, back in our day. So what was on TV was on TV. And so, you know, it was something to watch.
90210 Saved by the Bell.
Don't you knock Saved by the Bell, my man. Don't you knock that. But anyway, let's dive in. So this episode was...
You got to see the Colonies for the first time. You've heard us talk about it so much.
A bunch of times.
Now you get to see it.
Yeah. So this episode for me was not a lot of forward momentum, but a lot of great backstory. You know, June's still on the run, seeing that throughout this episode, but a lot of the core of this episode is Emily, as you mentioned. And she's a fan favorite, I'm guessing, because when she shows up in Season 6, everyone went crazy that she came back and we got to see more of her, like the conclusion of like what was going on with her.
You'll understand a bit later when you're older.
When I'm a little older, a little while. Also, I realized in this episode that I knew that her wife was going to go to Canada because of our amazing audience being like, no, her wife's in Canada with their daughter. The person you saw get hung was just the Martha in her home, because I had misspoken that episode and called her wife. And so I kind of knew that she was going to get out. So a little bit of a, you know, spoiler, I guess you would call that. But either way, still the tension.
Accidental.
Well, what's interesting, everything's a spoiler, right? I've seen Season 6. I know how it ends. And so what I find to be really interesting through what we're going through right now is that I'm getting to put the pieces together. Instead of being like, I wonder how that happened, I'm getting to see in real time like how all the dominoes fall. And to me is like kind of cool to just be a part of.
What do you think of the treatment of the women there?
The Unwomen in the Colonies?
Yes.
Yeah, so anytime I've ever seen a movie where there's any kind of like slave labor or, you know, people, you know, what I think of would be like that, but I'm trying to think of another movie to compare it to.
It's essentially in Russia, when they go to Gulag in Russia, is they'll just work themselves to death until they're no longer of use.
I would not know. I'm not very familiar, but that'd be a good comparison if that's, you know, let us know in the comments. I'm not familiar with what the Gulag does or how that works. I know that there are work camps. Arizona is a work prison state. So if you get arrested and go to prison in Arizona, you don't get the luxuries of, you know, regular prisons. You live in a tent out in the heat and you work.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, it's not like for the lighthearted to go to prison in Arizona, especially in the summertime when it's, you know, 110, 115 degrees out. They make you wear a pink jumpsuit. They make you live in tents and you're working. You're not just sitting around.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Did you know they used to want to make Navy ships pink?
Why?
Because that's the most camouflage. Through research, it's like a combination of haze gray and red, and it makes it like this Pink Panther type color. SAS, I believe, used it during World War II, and they were practically invisible.
In water? It makes you invisible?
On dirt, anywhere. Just at a distance, it just blends with everything else.
When you said Navy, I just assumed water.
The ships, they want to paint the ships pink, but they realize that's probably not a good look.
Yeah, the Navy already has, you know, stigma on them. Probably don't want to do that.
But yeah, so we got to see Emily during the episode get to go through all this. I love how she's still a caregiver.
I thought that's what she was doing. That was a twist.
Oh, you're talking...
We won't go there yet, but I thought she was being a true caregiver. I thought she was just being someone who internally just wants to see others feel better and not suffer. But that was an interesting twist to see. But the one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Colonies...
She was still a caregiver, though, for the rest of the ladies.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to brush that over.
Yeah. So the one thing I want to ask the viewers, and if I'm going to find out in future episodes, then just be like, Chris, be patient. And I get that.
Chris, be patient.
Probably. What's the point of the Colonies? So you're not going to have a forced labor camp in a place that is highly deadly unless you want a resource that is in that place. Now, they're all digging something.
They're cleaning up the radiation.
Oh, so they're trying to be like the toxic cleanup crew.
Yeah.
That's their purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
How
I'm like,
fucked is that?
yeah. I was like, well, what does Gilead want that's so valuable that they're willing to, because obviously they don't care about the Unwomen, but they have their own people there enforcing them to, and so they have to like care about those people a little bit.
Those are the only ones that have like the gas masks on and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're hazmated up.
You see all the rest of the women like getting these blisters and stuff, the radiation poisoning. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all the radiation. You see the hazard signs on these big bags that they're digging and filling up. They're working them to the bone. They're like all deathly skinny now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if your radiation poisoning is fucking just awful. I mean, it's the thing they use to kill cancer is radiation, right? It kills anything. And so it's destroying their cells from the inside. That's a brutal way to go. And it's slow. I think she did that one lady a mercy making it fast because otherwise it's just a slow burn.
Which lady?
That she gave the pills to.
Oh, she's not making that fast. She's making that drawn out. She told her, you've got hours to go before you die.
And compared to radiation sickness, which could take months or years to kill you.
I think she just wanted to be the person, do it as a quick little jab that she could get in and make them truly fucking suffer because look at all the horrific shit she's just gone through.
100%. Yeah, no, I was just saying, I get why Emily did it, and it makes sense in the scene. I was just saying that to me personally, Chris, sitting here today, I would think radiation poisoning would be a much more brutal punishment than poisoned and killed.
I think also having her there in the same space with the other women doesn't really bode well for them emotionally because she's a constant reminder of that stuff. It's bad enough to see the aunt every day, the ones that are like slave drivers to them, and just having to live with someone also, that might be a bit too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's the personal reason behind that. But let's go back into Emily's backstory where she's a professor.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool to see because I did forget about that part as well. And the whole interaction of her losing her teaching space.
It kind of reflects the journey June had, right? So I'm hoping we get to see more Handmaids like stories because I'll do that. It's a direct reflection of like how that slowly got taken away. Yeah.
And so she's finding out that she's going to lose her teaching position next semester. She's pretty much like, fuck you, I'm not doing it anyway. And he's like, well, I think we need to do this. It's an overabundance of caution, but did you have like photos of you, your wife, and your kid on your phone? And because she just showed it to the girl that she was helping. And I don't know whether she's the one who may have reported it. And I guess we're supposed to assume that based on that previous interaction. But he goes on to explain to her that he had removed the photos of his husband from his office and got into fights over it. Husband called him a collaborator. And too long later, we see him hanging there with something written on the ground. Yeah. I'm not going to say what that is because I'm pretty sure we would get in trouble for that.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't like it, even if you're talking about it in a context like we are.
Yes.
That whole interaction was very interesting to me because, one, it is a direct reflection of June, so I saw that happening, and I'm like, oh man, like we're watching these women just get everything taken away from them. June based on her education and her occupation, Emily based on her sexual orientation, right? And so it's just like he first comes in with the gaslight, right? His tactics slowly degrade, and it's kind of interesting to watch because she's so strong in who she is. He can't really deal with her. So eventually he has to like let the armor down and be like, listen, I'm a person too. But he starts off with the gaslighting of, oh, you know, you've been talking about how you need more lab time, so we're going to give you that lab time. And so we're actually going to, you can't have that lab time though, you know, it'd be hard for you to have that lab time because you're working so much in front of and, you know, teaching and lecturing. So we're going to just, you know, remove that and let you do that for now. That was his initial pitch. Like trying to like gaslight it and make it seem like it was for her benefit. And she was like, no, like I'm not lecturing. That's not cool. I'm going to be doing that.
I felt he was doing it more of just looking on the bright side kind of thing because we got no choice here.
Yeah.
So you might as well be happy with something that you do enjoy.
Yeah.
And just move on with that and don't cause any ripples or waves so that you can stay safe because he's terrified for his own life.
Yeah, I think to me in that scene, and I definitely love your guys' opinions because we all definitely don't always disagree. I thought he's almost letting himself into like believing that he's trying to help her because he himself is gay. And so for him to tell her she has to lose everything because of the same reason, like, you can't do this anymore, we got to hide this, that was a bad idea, all of that for the same thing he does, he's got to feel like a hypocrite. So in my mind, he's like trying to convince himself that what he's doing is okay.
Well, he also mentioned that the one line, I thought my generation was going to be the last one I had to hide.
Yeah. No, the last. That whole conversation right there was powerful, especially with him, reflecting on, how he had to deal with such prejudice and atrocities growing up just based on who he loved. And now we got past that and all of a sudden we're just regressing all the way back. Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow.
And June made it to the newspaper.
Yeah, Boston Globe.
And I don't know. I feel like in my brain, it's like that's the place she used to work, right? Was it giving her the extra trauma of being there?
I don't think she's the Globe, but we never really find out.
Editor.
She was for, I thought, like a journal, like some sort of like big magazine. I wasn't really. Let us know in the comments below if you read the book. Maybe you have a little bit more insight. I don't think they specifically tell us who she works for, just what she does. And then we meet her in the office when things are happening. And maybe if we paid more close attention to what's in the office, you could see that.
That's what I was trying to figure out in my head was, is it the same exact place? That's why I posed the question.
My reasoning for saying it's not is because while she's fumbling through there, and I want to talk about that in a minute, she never returns to her desk. She never returns to the place where she was kicked out of. She never returns to like her spot. And I don't know about you, but me personally, if I were going to a place that had some sort of attachment to me, I would most likely go to that place. Like if I were to go back to my old high school, I would most likely visit the gym. I would most likely visit...
Or go hide in one of the classrooms if you were scared, right? Yeah. A place that you knew.
Exactly, right? It would be something familiar to me that I would find, right? And so for me, she walks around and she finds a lot of really disturbing things and, remnants of the chaos that was the end of that building. And then ultimately she gets down to the slaughterhouse. But I don't think that was where it's based on the fact that she never goes to like her old desk.
So when she first gets there and she hears the sounds and she freaks out, because she hears the helicopters above, she runs straight to a specific location and hides. That's what supported the idea for me that it could be the same place. And the reason she's taking the slaughter so hard is because she knew the people.
Valid. It could be valid. I just associated her just running and finding like the nearest place she could. That was what I associated with, but it very much could be.
Because it looked like she made a straight line there. Like she went through all these different places to get to one specific place. She was rushed and she moved with purpose. Like she knew exactly where she was going.
Evidence in both directions. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about really quick about Boston, the Boston Globe and June. If I were in hiding and I was in a place that was abandoned but had power, the last thing I would be doing is walking around turning on entire floors of lights and everything I could as I walked around, because that thing's been abandoned for how long? And now all of a sudden it's this beacon shining out there.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, man, June, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. Luckily, though, as the episode progresses, Nick shows up and I'm like, all right, Nick's at least smart enough to be like, we got to turn these lights off and do something. We need to hide you better than this. But then she tries to kill him through sex. So I don't know if he was thinking straight. They might still get caught.
He's like, no more. I've had enough.
He said, you're going to try. And then gets back on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I said just kill him through sex.
All right. Fair enough. So Nick shows up and June just wants to leave though.
She's having a breakdown, dude.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. She's having a complete breakdown. She has just... probably with maybe more of a personal connection that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, she just witnessed, like she just went down and experienced by herself the remnants of a slaughter. And that's very heavy on her. She doesn't want to be in this building anymore. And obviously, as soon as we start to talk to her, Hannah is the biggest thing that comes to her mind. She wants to get Hannah and get out. Get Hannah and get out.
And Nick doesn't know where she is, he said.
He says that. And then he also says, because you're running, they're probably watching her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like... they know who she is. Serena brought you to her. Like, they're very much already watching her because likely they're going to catch you.
And she just wants to leave. And so she decides that she's going to go and make a run.
I think that's the smartest thing Nick did, but I want to keep going.
She forces Nick to give her the car keys. And as she's walking away, Nick's like, wait, and just pulls out his gun. The way they set the scene up is he actually going to point that shit at her? But no, of course, he just gives her the gun because he wants her to be safe if she did go through through with it. And I feel like he handled that really well, but it's also almost like patronizing the way he did it. But you have to kind of be that way when someone is stuck in that kind of loop. And so he lets her go through with this whole thing of getting the garage open, getting in the car, well, the SUV. And then he's just standing there waiting for her to make a decision. And that's when he's going to decide what he does next.
Yeah.
And he risked a whole lot just to give her those keys. Because if she did leave, how can he explain that shit?
And a firearm, which is the means to stop him from stopping her.
One of the things I was thinking in my mind is, do they still do like serial numbers there? Are they like documenting this shit? So if she showed up with the gun at the future thing, living in fantasy land because it didn't happen, but if she did leave with that gun, she killed someone and they found her with it, would they be able to tie that directly back to Nick? That's what I was wondering.
Just because they operate very different, like very corrupt, I still think there's like, keys and orders are up. Like there's still like all of that. There's still rank and file, and you still have your inventory officer, right? There's still somebody at the armory making sure the guns are clean. Like there's always still those people. And so I would that weapons assigned to guardians, anybody in that military fashion is assigned to that person, serial numbered.
But is it his personal gun or is it one?
He wears it on his hip 24/7.
Yeah.
He always has it. So I would think that's his assigned, like as an eye or as a driver. I guess technically you're not supposed to know he's an eye, but as a driver, someone who protects a commander, that's his weapon.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Let us know. We have other interesting questions on this one. They're driving them up.
And then we also have one of our favorites come back at the very end, Janine.
Yeah. I think we jumped ahead, though. That's why I'm a little stumped. But anyway, yeah, so...
I just wanted to get that out there because I didn't want to forget that big piece. That's all. And
Yeah.
we never go in order anyway.
No, we don't. That's my scattered brain for you. Yeah, so Janine is obviously a favorite at this table. Many of you as well. And we knew last episode, based on Aunt Lydia's conversation with June, or 2 episodes ago, it might have been now, that she went to the colonies. That once she woke up from her coma, all the things that had happened sent her off to the colonies, right?
So I've got tattoo in my head that's screaming, all the things she said, all the things she said.
I have it out of order, though.
Running through my head.
She wakes up from the coma, and then they go to the stoning execution. Then June refuses to stone her, and then that's when Aunt Lydia tells June, you didn't do anything good, all you did was prolong her death, now she's at the colonies. So that's when we find out. Now my mind's on track again. Yeah, always great to see her. Unfortunately, now she's in one of the most toxic, brutal, dangerous environments out there. So, and she's kind of fragile, right? Like, I don't think she's like physically or immensely strong. She's very much like a child in my eyes. And so I would think, like, what would happen if you threw a 10-year-old girl into that kind of situation? That's why I look at Janine like this little girl. And so I don't think she's going to fare well out there in the colonies. And Emily's going to have to do something to help her, protect her. And Emily's going to be a big part of why Janine survives out there. My personal prediction on that.
Okay, I'll leave that part alone.
Yeah.
But now that we got that out of the way, let's go back to the airport of Emily and her wife and child escaping.
Yeah. We saw a couple of different things happen here. World's falling apart, so everyone's leaving, right? So it's mass chaos at Logan with Airport, Massachusetts. And so they're all trying to get out. And the first security gate they get to kind of gives them a hard time. But she shows them the marriage certificate, and he's like, oh, you're so lucky that you brought this.
Lucky he's not a true believer.
He wasn't yet, right? The group of people that she meets are not. However, when they go in further, when she has her temporary ticket and has to get it, permanently stamped, we run into the next guy.
Yeah, the next ICE officer.
Yeah. Who very firmly is a true believer. From the jump, he is very upset that he is dealing or having to even talk to a woman. He's very, I'm guessing, on another level, upset that he's talking to a lesbian woman, but just a woman in general is below him at this point because he's a true believer of the Gilead's practice. And so tells him that because her wife is a Canadian citizen, as far as I can understand.
Yes.
And so she's just basically going home with the baby. And the interesting question that I thought, obviously because it saved Emily's life, is, and she said it's a personal question, I'm not going to answer it, but he said, did you have this baby with your own eggs, or was it artificially inseminated or inserted? I don't know the specific terms, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. And I believe if she had said, no, it wasn't, I didn't actually have my own egg, they would have killed her. She'd have been dead because she doesn't have a viable womb anymore, without medical intervention. Like, a commander wouldn't have been able to rape her and then create a baby. Like, they would have to have medical intervention. So because she said, yes, my eggs can create a baby, proof right here, that saved her life.
getting a little ahead though, because she wouldn't answer that question for a while. And then she's like, look, the other ice guy was like, yeah, we're good as long as I got this piece of paper. And he could have been like, if he wasn't a true believer, he would have been like the other ice agent, where he would have been like, yeah, cool, you're good to go. But because he is more of a true believer, he's like, sorry, this is invalid. Yeah. Now we got to work on next steps on what we're going to do with you.
Yeah.
Let's see if you're worth anything to us at all. And that's when he kind of forces her to go through that rabbit hole with him on whether the ovaries were hers or not, or whether they were artificially inseminated.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and that is very valid, that, point why she has to stay behind is the official government document that she has that says she married is no longer valid in Gilead's eyes, starting with this one guy right here who is a true believer. And then she has to watch her wife leave, and left there in the airport. Nothing yet where she's captured, taken, or any of that. June decides to this memorial in honor of all the people who lost their lives or had their lives cut short abruptly inside of the Boston Globe. And we get to see kind of like her way of honoring them and remembering them, which is, as veterans, we're used to memorials and things that, and how important they can be. I think this is a really great way to close out the episode for her. We got to see a bunch more of Emily's backstory and why she is the way she, how she is the way she is.
And so much sex.
Yeah, I mean, there was a good bit of that with Nick and June. Like I said,
all night long.
She tried to kill him.
Fucking night long.
Yeah, she tried to kill him for sure. He was like, I'm done. No, you're not. Yeah. And then Janine ends up in the colonies with Emily, and June's still on the run. So we'll see what happens next. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do so. And if you want to keep joining us on more videos, I have an entire playlist of Handmaid's Tale right here, as well as many others you can check out right here. And we'll see you on that video. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.